This is a 200 literary. Ready? Begin. To those of you in this case, the 50 years that have elapsed since they sat where you sit today have been a very eventful time for this old world. It has been the ultimate victory of freedom and democracy in the Cold War, the dominance of market economics, and the development of a truly global economy. A revolution in information, telecommunications, and technology, which has changed the way we live and work and opened up vast new possibilities for good and for evil. The challenge of your time will be to face these new realities and to make some sense out of them in a way that is consistent with our historic values and the things that will make your own lives richer. The challenge of your time, in short, will be to redeem the promise of this great country. Now, there are unparalleled opportunities for those of you with a wonderful education in this global economy, in this information age, and you don't have to worry about things that your parents used to worry about all the time. I am very proud of the fact that in the last 2 years, there are no Russian missiles pointed at the people of the United States of America for the first time since the dawn of the nuclear age. And I might add, there are no American missiles pointed at the people of Russia. From the Middle East to Northern Ireland, from South Africa to Haiti, we see ancient conflicts giving way to peace and freedom and democracy in a genuine spirit of reconciliation. Hundreds of millions of people now breathe the air of freedom who, less than a decade ago, found it a distant dream. Every country in Latin America but one is now a democracy. I am proud that our nation could support these developments, but as all of you know, this new world is not free of difficulty. The heavy hand of communism and dictatorships have given way to bloody conflicts rooted in the primitive religious, ethnic, and racial hatreds from Europe to Africa. The mobility of money and people and the advance of technology have strengthened the hand of organized crime and drug traffickers from Latin America to Asia to the former Soviet Union. And we have all been reminded recently that none of us in this open, free-flowing world of ours are immune from the forces of organized evil and terrorism. The possibilities of more rapid economic development have posed new threats to the global environment. Rapid changes in the world economy have brought vast new opportunities, but they have also brought uncertainty, stagnant incomes, and indeed rapid insecurities, even in the wealthiest countries in the world, and we have seen it in ours. Though we have made progress on our deficit and expanding our trade and taking serious action against crime and trying to increase the ability of our country to educate our people and to welcome those from around the world, as so many of you have come to find your educational opportunity here. We know that for the first time since this generation left in World War II, Americans are worried that their children will not have a better life than they enjoyed. Half of all of our people are working harder for less than they were making 15 years ago because the global economy punishes people who don't have the skills to learn, to compete, and to win in a world that is changing daily. In our nation, for the first time since World War II, we have watched the great American middle class, which is the core of our idea of America, begin to split apart along the fault line of education. And of course, we all know that our social fabric today in this country is being ripped apart by what is happening to our children. More and more of them are subject to violence and abuse. A higher and higher percentage of them are born into poverty. More and more of them are having children while they're still children. Even though the overall crime rate in this country has gone down, random violence among children is still increasing. More and more children are spending their lives with one-parent families, sometimes trapped on welfare, but more often being raised by utterly exhausted parents who are working 2 or more jobs to give their children a chance at a good life. Because in the 1980s, we were unable to resolve these problems because inequity and insecurity increased. Because the realities today and tomorrow were not addressed, the American people have continued to lose faith in the ability of their government, and sometimes, even more importantly, in the ability of our society to solve these problems. And perhaps the most important difficulty we face is the increasing cynicism of our own people. Today in Washington, we're having a great debate about what to do about all this, and that's a very good thing. On the one side, we have people who say that most of these problems are personal and cultural, and if all of us would just straighten up and fly right, we wouldn't have these problems anymore. And of course, at a certain level, that is self-evidently true. None of you would have a diploma today if you hadn't done the right thing to earn it, and nothing can be done for anyone to get out of a tight spot in life unless people are willing to do for themselves. But that ignores the other side of the debate, which is that there are plain economic and social factors that are not even common to the United States, putting pressure on people and taking away their hopes and threatening their dreams. We have a great debate about what the most important thing for our government to do is. On the one side are those who say that the government can't really do anything to solve our problems anyway. So the most important thing is to balance the budget as quickly as possible without regard to the consequences. On the other hand, there are those who say we have a budget deficit and we ought to do something about it. But we have an education deficit as well. And when we have so many poor children, we need to invest in people to make sure they can live up to their God-given potential, and that is also important. Today, what I want to say to you is, wherever you come down in all these great debates, the most important thing is that you should be a part of the debate, because your life will be far more affected by what happens in the next 2 years than my life. I have been given the opportunity of the American dream. I was the first person in my family ever to graduate from college. You are going into the time of greatest human possibility in all history, but you have must address the fact that all of our forces of opportunity have seeds of destruction. You must make sense and clarity out of complex problems, and I think you must do it with a much greater sense of optimism and hope than we are seeing in most debate today. There's nothing wrong with this country that cannot be solved by what is right with it, and you should never forget that.